This is Jeffrey.
Is also his
I'd like to welcome my friend Yosh to the stage.
So what is that?
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching this video. Realistically, I'm not sure if I was about literally anything I said throughout the entire video. But remember, if this video gets 7,000 likes, I'll go ahead and watch the entire show. I will do it at some point. But realistically speaking, genuinely, this is like a really cool event. So I'm glad to be back.
I'm going to stop in 5 seconds.
Okay, let's stop it goes back and watches.
Let's go. You said that looked painful. Yeah, but he's fine. He's not moving. He's thinking about it. So how do you score? Just cross the line with the ball. Sounds easy. But you've only got 3 tries. Technically 4. Technically, on the 4th try, you try to get
all your breakfast eggs, like pancakes, eggs, and
okay, so how many
bacon,
was
for just
that?
$6 every day.
Why
And
do
you
you scream so
scramble
much?
French
It's not even
toast,
playing.
and
It's
you
about
The new value menu every day. Set on.
Why not?
I'm driving up the wall. I wonder what else you can do. You can drive a soda truck. Oh yeah. You can discover what's new on Nintendo Switch 2.
So well, it's been a ton of fun these past few weeks. There's just so much to do from the
Finally.
worlds to knockout sport to battle mode, and most of all, of course, the Mario Kart franchise is known for its fantastic racetracks, and that's no different in Mario Kart.
I don't think I can do that. Hopefully not.
Which is most of the last year entry, but we're
And then it's just going to be a bunch of mumbles.
Or Cena doesn't come complete Mario Kart. These are known as retro tracks. This has been a tradition ever since Mario Kart DS to include tracks from
Wait, hang on. You give it Trident, right? Like a shooting Trident. Yeah. You Trident into water right there.
That means Mario Kart World already has all that.
That war.
We find some has been terrible. On top of that, though, this might be one of the most bizarre selection of retro courses across the entire Mario Kart series.
Well, it doesn't sound
Welcome
so
to
big,
the
too.
episode of Trouble by Rabbit. Today I thought it'd be fun to take a look at all 14 of Mario Kart World.
Okay, I just have to kill people.
A bit of retro tracks like this. In order to do that, we're going to use
Nice line. Stands for me. There's nothing I can do. Any
Now the
second
champion.
Actually, for the first time in the series,
my channel to the very end. I only have a few more hours of oxygen in
I
my
know.
respirator. Great helmet subscriber tag. No one, please.
People ask me suggest the tracks from. The further to the right the track is, the better choice I think it was to bring back. Then the higher the track is,
I think
the more
Champion's a
improved I
pretty
think
good
it is over
kit.
previous incarnation. In case you're like 7 years old and still don't understand, don't worry, you'll pick up on how this works very quick. The reason
Okay, wait,
I picked
what?
the alignment chart today is because I think those 2 factors are very important in determining the quality of a retro track. The quality of the choice is determined based on how good the base track is, if it's been missing for a while and deserves a remake, if
Oh,
there
come
are other
on.
tracks that they should have replaced it, and as a bonus, how well the track fits into the game's open world. Improvement, on the other hand, simply comes down to if I think the track is better or worse than it was originally. With focus on
I didn't mean to do that.
new mechanics introduced in Mario Kart World. I think it's important for a retro track to justify its return by using new features. So
Okay.
any track that manages to do that, I think, is great. With all that said, if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and let's jump right in. Alright, so we're going to go in order
This
of the
guy
tracks that
died
we're
already.
going
Oh, it's just the end.
The first track we have to talk about today
Now I'm
is...
going to die.
Okay, so right off the bat, I'm lying. I've got a lot to say about Desert Hills that also requires context with the other good.
Roll damage,
Yeah,
right?
we're going to be saving that one for last. That means our actual first track is going to be 7 Shy Guy XR. Right away.
Ah, snowballs work in this game. I know they work in like other games, but
Of course, it's something better. And I think it's not bad. It's really really unique for a Destiny track, so if there was going to be one, it makes sense that Shy Guy XR was the choice.
okay, he's in there.
This also got a ton of the positive. One of Mario Kart World's major focuses is, of course, its parkour mechanics with rail grinding and wall jumping. And the Bizarre is probably the retro track that implements these mechanics the most naturally.
Whoa, what the?
Yeah. Market section in 7 already had a few alternate pathways, but now with the
Very have iron in my game.
retro track to justify its return by using new features. So any track that manages to do that, I
Oh my goodness, holy sweat!
If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and let's jump right in.
Bruh, I suck at PvP.
Tracks appearance in the Grand Prix mode, which means the first track we have to talk about today.
I'm not used to PvP in this.
Okay, so right off the bat, I'm lying. I've got a lot to say about Desert Hills that also requires
Bed
context
Wars,
to track the video, so we're gonna be
PvP, or
saving
not
that.
Bed Wars,
That means our actual
whatever it's
first track
called.
is going to be 7 Shy Guy Bazaar.
You guys know what I'm talking about.
This was a fantastic choice. It's one of the most memorable Nitro courses from 7, and I think everyone was expecting it to come back.
Oh my god, I don't like this.
It makes sense that Shy Guy Bazaar was the choice. On top of just being a popular track, though, this also got a
Okay, I gotta walk in.
One of Mario Kart World's major focuses is, of course, its parkour mechanics,
Never played this
rail grinding, and
before,
wall jumping.
so this
Shy
is
Guy
my
Bazaar
first
is
time.
probably the retro track that implements these mechanics the most naturally into its previous layout. The market section at 7 already had a few alternate pathways, but now with the
Alright, this is like the highest I've ever been so far.
Shy Guy Bazaar was also always a fairly close track, so that made implementing wall riding here very natural. And that's all while the track still feels very
Pepper, come here.
initial Mario Kart 7 rendition.
Pepper, go to your bed.
It are fairly subtle, like it's
Why are you, Bunny? You're okay.
but they expand the track in such interesting ways. They even added an alternate route to the left of the ending that can give people a small speed boost. So as a track, I think this is a great fit for Mario Kart World to show off all of its new mechanics. On top of that, though, this is also easily one of the open world's strongest highlights. The exciting now features track routes the Rastaland. It's such a cool design.
Damn it.
That's a lot of
And
fun.
he
to drive
dealt
around
like
with you.
5 billion.
You can sometimes race through the palace based on how you approach Shy Guy Bazaar.
We're not doing much right now. We're just waiting on Mama to get back home. Yep. Last I heard, you had to get a what are they called? Like a breathing tube. Yeah. I don't know. Of course. Not too much. We started with
People.
our play that we're doing, which will be great. We're doing our public performance. Hold on, let me put you on speaker. Alright. We're doing our public performance before district instead of after, which I find kind of weird. Bonnie. Hey, sit. Alright, I'll go lay down.
You don't take damage. What?
Scott, can you call me now?
Hey, Pepper, go to your beds. God dang it. Go to your bed. Pepper, go to your bed.
Oh. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, we did,
Good girls.
I went down a lot of blues, and I learned how to jump.
Let me.
Yeah, it's just my form's getting a lot better. Yeah.
Dang, bro's already going. He's a runner, he's a Charleston. I don't have a weapon.
I know I do.
Yeah, and you're heavy, so it's not too fair.
Yeah.
Pickaxe. Gonna be bad. I may just have to gun it. Whoa! No, for an inch? What was that? It's alive.
Excited for Hades Town?
For an inch? What's that?
Mm-hmm.
Here. Solo, but I guess it's the only thing. Hello, people. I don't have any viewers right now, but it's fine. Alright, I think I can.
Yep. Yep. Well, or Hades Town, which your director is already not happy about. Since we missed 2 for Angel Fire trip.
I think.
Out. Yeah. Do you know what it's about? Yeah.
Hear my family in the background.
No. No. It's I'm not gonna tell you which one, but it's a Greek myth. Okay. Yeah.
Darn it, bro.
Right? I really love the style, and it was written in a way where you could tell it like in any setting, which I find really cool.
I hate this game.
Like there's a competition that you can do in UIL theater, and it's like you build a concept for a show with costumes and set and just like the overall image. And there was one who did it with bugs,
Dude, what?
which I thought was really good. Just be prepared because I really love this show, and there's a role in it that I really want to play, and he plays guitar, and I want to learn how to play guitar. So just like it's gotten pretty good. I'm learning more about chords and just like cleaning things up, which is great. When I can. Sometimes it's like twice a day. Sometimes it's like once in a week.
Yes. My fucking
It
thing.
really just depends.
My mouse is broken. Or not my mouse, my central key.
What? Yeah.
Bond gold. Thank you. Mouse is broken. Central key. There's a thing called central key.
My voice, but I'm a little bit sick.
Or like toggle key. Y'all heard?
Something. I don't know what it is, but it's been going around. Later in the week, maybe like Wednesday. I haven't been able to get it to go away.
I hate this game. It's so annoying. Why do you just fall into the void? It's like a cutscene whenever you die and you like Benny in the ink machine. Anybody else play that game, or am I just a nerd?
I hate it.
I hate this game. So annoying.
Yeah.
The void.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a cutscene
That
whenever you
happens.
die. Like Benny in the ink machine. Hey, I'm sorry, buddy. Play that game, or am I just...
Of course.
I was holding back before.
I hope it doesn't.
Wait, I can buy an iron. I shouldn't spend all of that, but hey, I got a condo in my hand. This big girl's happy. I saw them.
Okay. I'll see you later. Yeah. Bye.
Since we call this a secret track, it's more like an alternate route since you can't race it in the file. So I think we start this video off strong with a very solid record.
So dumb.
While deserving of placing in the top right quadrant. I should also note, don't take this chart necessarily as my track ranking, as I'll cover that in future videos. Next up, we have ourselves another very obvious pick, being N64 Wario Stadium, which is another I and many others personally pick. The reason is because it was the only track for Mario Kart 64.
I gotta get better at PvP.
The reason for that is because Wario Stadium is.
I don't know if I just need to click faster,
One of the Mario
but
Kart series' worst tracks. It may make you all think I wouldn't like for it to return. However, I only saw Mario Kart World as a chance for this track to redeem itself, and I can confidently say this is easily the most improved track in the entire game. The main reason it sucked so much originally is because the track was so.
what is this game? What? He wasn't getting hit. He wasn't taking knockback.
But I also saw those people on the assignments. I think cutting up
Should probably add some more defense to my bed, but
on top of that, while I wouldn't say it utilizes rail grinding, long grinding to its greatest items are, this track does improve massively from modern Mario Kart Sprint system. Originally, whenever you went off the ramp in Mario Kart 64, it felt incredibly unfelt. Now, though,
okay, so I need to kill him first.
I do want to make a quick edit here to say I did sort of like this track.
I need to kill him first,
It's safe to say this also uses wall grinding and rail
and
grinding.
then get his bed, and then die, because
Exploration layout being massively improved. This is also one of the most unopened world areas right next to the track. I think right there we start to see the parkour mechanics being utilized. As the parkour all around the massive stadium, they don't have to find all the question mark piles of pieces. If I had to do a ranking of the open world at some point, Mario Stadium, of course, it would easily make top 5. That's also, of course, top 5. It's very unique stadium. It's played in the overall compared to rest. I guess I should talk more about the aesthetics on these tracks too. I love how they updated it here. It actually feels like
I'm just gonna keep rushing him, but eventually he'll
fire go off as you make jumps.
come to me.
Especially when you compare it to the original aesthetic, which was just. I also love the auditory touch of having a Shy Guy announcer commentate over the race. It's subtle, but I think it adds to the excitement a lot. So honestly, I think Mario Stadium is here on the alignment charts. The highest achievement.
I'm just gonna like bridge above his base, throw like 7 fireballs at him, get him at like 1 HP, go down there, die, and then retry.
This one, yes, Airship Fortress is probably my favorite track that wasn't in my returning class. It has such a great.
I have more than 1 fireball. Haha.
I made it clear numerous times that I felt like it was wrong, so I'm very happy to see it finally made it. Also, I do want to note that when they come in Mario Kart 1, I have heard a lot of people say, aren't you happy it wasn't an 8 so we get the remake it truly deserved? Well, no, this guy was in both. Airship Fortress did. Well, whatever. It's back. It still was fun to race on the set. The dungeon spots I thought was great, so was avoiding the run.
You're gonna fireball me or something?
These change record track.
No, what the?
Wheel start, which you make for fun. I also like the rails in the burner section, as you can take the risk to lock in on one path.
No.
Burners, like that, though.
Dude, what are these guys' hits? I don't like this guy. He makes me sad. He makes me sad, man. I'm bucking on my bed. Like a hair. So in the back of the bed.
On top of being a fantastic choice track-wise, this is also a good choice for the
I wish I could figure out, like, diamond or a thing.
Other areas, it's probably one of the smaller areas to explore for a track, but it does get some content, so I think it worked out great to choose. So while it didn't improve as much as the last 2 tracks, the choice to bring it back by itself isn't up for its perform well in our alignment chart. You know, so far we've had a really good streak of course.
Like, diamond or a thing?
But as our last 2 tracks, the choice to bring it back by itself isn't enough for it to perform well in our life. Now, so far, we've had a really good streak of course.
That's not fun.
To get to start though, so I think it's time we unlock some more.
Surprised I haven't seen
Start this
him
off
yet.
with a GS pass. This is one of DS's most forgettable tracks for me. It was never really much of a highlight. There are plenty of other silly tracks I would have preferred to instead. Even if I could be included too. You would have also been a more. Yeah, this was just in the boost first pass. I was really concerned. They could have swapped which.
He just turned around and just started doing that and killed me.
So choice-wise, I'm not a huge fan of this comeback, but does it at least improve on what the original was? I would say overall yes, but it is.
What the?
I do really like this shortcut near the start. The new full mechanics.
You gave.
I think that is a really.
No.
Having that in your top.
I don't lose my pickets, right? Yeah, I know.
That's what it's known now. On a more negative note, though, I kind of miss the fact
He wasn't even like doing that. He was just holding that.
segments, but I haven't seen anyone to get past the cabin. And that was always one of the tracks that was at least there is still stuff to do here with Fireface.
I
But the change that I
hate
find to be
this
the most
guy.
here,
And he's gonna get like 7,000 freaking fireballs. And he's just gonna own my bed.
especially considering the snowman on
I'm dead. There's nothing I can do.
yeah,
There's literally nothing.
would say it is better than DS.
I can out PvP that guy any day, but in this, I can't do anything.
Ski resort area is
And he's just gonna bridge up. I'm gonna have like 7,000 deaths. A couple of kills, one final. You don't have your friggin' special iron golem that helps you every day.
in that context, this is the
Somebody else is gonna come in like. Can somebody go and like kill Pink? Boy,
I would have much preferred something like this way.
ah. He was just hitting me over and over and over, and I can't do anything about this. Because he just has 7,000 million golden apple.
On top of that, it practically just looked like it was ripped straight from the goal.
Finally, bro!
Most of these issues.
Oh my goodness. I'm
Yes, it is sort of oval in essence. It's now an oval with a ton of it.
I hate this game. I
The railroad
genuinely.
dirt. I think this is a perfectly.
And my bed's gonna break. Watch. My bed's broken.
I have the theory that this track was always meant to be a world course, and they just added it for it well. We're out in the Mario Kart 8.
I'm dead. I can't do anything.
Seeing that rail
Okay.
right, it makes
Because I just completely got him. I'm dead.
Pretty much every part of the track has a do route go down things. Even small things like being able to ride on the wall of the final turn makes the track much more
It's
fun.
just I didn't have enough stuff to kill him, and also him fireballing me.
As for the open world, though, I did kind of find this to be one of the more enjoying tracks to navigate or do all the pipes and jumps. But the challenges found here were quite good. It's also a very unique setting.
Wait, this
Obviously,
isn't
they
what I
did
wanted.
too, but it's still fixing the world. This surrounding track speaks. Overall, while I would have preferred several other courses before this, they
I don't usually play this game, but
I think the top left quadrant is still one. That brings us into our final Star Trek Cup 7th warning shift. If you didn't personally predict this making a comeback, I was too close for that. A lot of people did suspect this guy to make a return. Brings us into our final Star Trek Cup 7th warning shift. If I didn't personally predict this making a comeback, I was too close for that.
Stadium coaching mode.
A lot of people did suspect this guy to make a return. It's one of those tracks that has grown a stronger following as time has gone on. The seeing making comeback was cool, it made a lot of sense. It's also a very unique atmosphere from anything else. You know, they make sort of fun with shipwreck, which I thought was a lot of fun to explore and to work. Jumping between the different sunken ships along with the nearby ruined buildings was a great boost to the setting. But you may have noticed I haven't talked about the track layout yet, because this is where things get a bit controversial. The original track in 7 was used to highlight that game's new feature of underwater driving. As you probably know, Mario Kart World doesn't have that feature. Instead, it's been replaced by driving on the water's surface, which means this track received a major overhaul. A lot of what used to be underwater has now moved to the surface or just kind of completely removed.
I'm on one of them.
Types of
Get him.
for example, are nowhere to be seen in the remake, which I think is a bit of a shame because it's
I'm being teamed on.
the idea now is
Kill him.
water is supposed to make
My teammate.
honestly, no, I don't really think it does. It's at least
My teammate, what are you
But
doing?
I think the more varied underwater section of the original is a bit better. On top of that, the waves could just be straight up annoying if you try to engage with this track's shortcuts. As an example, to get on this rail after the tunnel, you have to do a charge jump, but due to the waves, it can sometimes interrupt your jump and make you fail. It doesn't feel like a skill issue, but rather bad luck.
Come
It's
on.
kind of annoying to deal with. At least there are still some rail shortcuts that ignore the water, like the beams after you can.
Do
Anyway,
I
visuals on this track were also a bit controversial,
like
as it went away from the
fish?
yellow and purple Mario theming to a more haunted aesthetic. While I understand not liking the update, I'm honestly a fan of the look. I think it works great with the story and water made
Yeah.
and Mario head with the blue flame in his eye also looks neat. So yeah, if you wanted a course to show up the water riding, I could understand the thought process to add this, but honestly, I feel like water riding really isn't that interesting of a game.
There are still some great parkour additions, but overall, I think the track layout is worse than the original. I'm gonna give Wario Shipyard the honor of being our first track in the bottom right quadrant, because I still think it was a good choice, just that the layout ended up being a bit worse.
How about this fight, at least it's the very start.
I always wanted more. I went back to school at 39, 33.
42.
And know my skills, much right. At Capella University.
Her mom was supposed to be home by now.
What can you do?
Yeah, Daddy said he's gonna be home in like 30 to 45 minutes a night.
And that was like 3 hours ago. That was at like 1:30.
And it looks like she remembered her bag.
Family proof, your family.
To Spirited Evenings. Razor Rocher.
I'm a baseball dad. Let's go ahead and go pro. Those will be my football. Hey, buddy. Yes, we're the. Our next couple, they had.
Okay, hopefully I can.
Game SNES Koopa Beach, but don't fall for their lies. It's actually SNES Koopa Beach 2 being remade. They just changed the name to make it a bit more confusing. One was one of the tracks I predicted to return, so I do feel a bit betrayed, but at least it's there in the. I'll give myself a hat. Anyway, this
Not
is why
hat.
a lot of people, that's the worst track of the game, and I can totally. It's pretty much just.
Away.
But as I've said before, I kind of like circles. It's no baby park, of course, but I still don't hate races. With that said, though, I will agree that this is a pretty whack choice to return. This does not use rail grinding or wall riding pretty much at all, as far as I can tell. It does technically use water driving, but so did the original, so it's not like this is an update of any kind. On top of that, so another beach track. This is one of the most lackluster open world areas of all the tracks, only really being saved by the fact that I like Koopa Beach 1 making an appearance here. With all of that being said, though, it's not all bad.
Look at this. Look. I've seen people like that.
Party vibe, and the song remix is one of my favorites among the main tracks. I also appreciate that this maintains the 5 laps from Super Mario Kart. When Koopa Beach 2 was initially remade in DS, it only had 3 laps, which I think made the track much worse as it was way too small. So even if you don't love the choice to include
I think
it,
people
I'm
in
certainly
here
a fan.
actually have
I
a
don't think there's
draw.
any way to claim that this was worse than its previous incarnations. Before our line new chart, this does keep the span in the top left quadrant, but it's definitely the least improved track in this area. Moving on to the Banana Cup, we got postcard double dash remakes. That means we are taking this off with C3, and this is one of the most interesting remakes of the fun. It was remade back on Wii, but it is a fairly popular track, and if it meant getting a chance to include Cataclysm on the roster, then I'd say it was worth it. Now, like I said, I don't love the fact that we got 2 beach tracks, but I'm going to take that more as a point against Koopa Troopa Beach rather than Beach Beach. Anyway, for the layout, it at first might seem like it's almost unchanged from its version at Wii. You go across the beach like normal, and you can still get thrown by the Cataclysms. There is an alternate route at the far left before entering the beach, but it honestly doesn't feel faster, so I kind of just do that. The fact that water driving is here can help you avoid some of the cataclysms as well, but it's a pretty minor addition all things considered. However, on lap 2, this track actually completely changes. Instead of taking a right onto the beach, you instead take a left at the start into a town area, indicated on the classic arrow. This is entirely new content, and it is very fun as it includes a ton of rail grinding and wall riding. Now, unfortunately, based on the current world record, it seems like the best thing to do is just
No, I can't have him getting all of the
I still
kills.
like the parkour if you want to take a lap, even if it is just for fun. What I don't love, though, is
I'm sorry, Mike.
which is a very weak. It starts fine with the fun little weather segments, but it ends up pretty much just a water straightaway, which is way too big and empty. It's not even stormwater like in Wario Shipyard, so you won't be doing any tricks here besides the single shortcut on the side. That's especially hurt by the fact that Salty Salty Speedway has a pretty similar vibe to this track in a lot of ways, making Peach Beach feel a bit less unique. Overall, though, even with that weakness last, I think Peach Beach is a slight improvement over the original. I also like how this county area works in the free roam, and it really lets the parkour shine as you hop from rooftop to rooftop. I can't lie though, this did make me kind of miss Delfino Square from my yes, let's take it in the end, it's still almost a piece. So I think it's fair to put it in the top right quadrant, even if it is the closest one to the center.
Hello, my viewers.
Double Dash track definitely picks things up as we got Dino Jungle. This is without a doubt one of the best tracks in the game, and that large
I don't like this.
The original track in both Double Dash and 7 is fairly
Random
well-liked,
kid.
but I wouldn't call it a fan favorite.
Oh, I got
The
the
main
default.
criticism of the track that I always heard was the fact
Enchanted
that there was
books,
literally
enchanted
only one Dino on the track itself.
Bottle of enchanting diamond helmet.
Pterodactyl. Nope, I said on the track he's flying doesn't count. Mario Kart World
Do I have to get, like,
absolutely
10
missing by adding
kills?
a ton more dinosaurs here.
And
With
the
that, they
win
also
all
changed
at
the theme of this
once?
track to go more toward a Jurassic Park sort of vibe, with the tunnel being turned into a
And
research.
solos?
This was such a great decision, as it makes the track feel much more distinct and actually like it takes full advantage of the theme. The way the dinos are used here is also incredibly interesting. Many of them, like the Triceratops, you can ride on top of, which allow you to get a
Here.
At the split bridge portion, there's also a dino in the water that you can rail ride on top of. Of course, including a T-Rex
I do?
must fit with the Jurassic Park, and I love how he just bursts out of the wall.
Lava! Why do
After that,
I...
you just
I didn't eat a
having
golden
throughout the rest of
apple.
the race, which I think is great. On top of those big changes, there's a ton of small stuff too that really adds to the layout. There's an alternate route in the research center.
Dude, my teammate is, like,
correctly. There's a few extra
greedy
ramps
without being
across the
greedy.
course,
I don't
and the
know
bridge that
what
initially
my
had you drive
teammate
past the
is,
dino has
but...
a bite taken out of it. The general layout is still the same here.
Dude,
but
what
it's
is
expanded
that?
in a phenomenal way, but and aesthetic. It also helped boost how much I love it in the open world, letting us explore just how massive the research facility is alongside the tons of dinosaurs. Even if this wasn't a track I was predicting to return from Double Dash, I am more than happy it's here. It's easily one of the best tracks in the game. Safe to say it belongs in the top right quadrant as the second most improved track. Wario Stadium is higher because it went from a terrible track to an actual.
Yeah, no, you guys cannot tell me that was not cheating, bro.
Again, this chart is
Unless he had, like...
personal ranking. It's just
There was no way it was cheating. There's just no way.
On to the Lightning Cup, we kick off.
Wait, it's my same teammate!
Survivor.
No, he's just wearing the same skin.
That is pretty insane as a choice, but I predicted it right. Yeah, everyone was making fun of me, but where's your precious piranha plant pipeline now, huh? In the ground, rip bozo. Anyway, as much as I am happy to celebrate being correct, this is still a really weird choice. Moo Moo Meadows is a well-liked track.
I don't care what people say.
But having it come back again after being in base Mario Kart 8 is pretty weird.
Oh, come on, teammate. What the heck, bro?
Sure, that's definitely a worse track, but if they
Dude,
really
like,
wanted, I
I'm
think a combined track
convinced
of
that,
Moo Moo
like,
Meadows and
there's
Moo Moo
so
Farms would be
much
cool.
more
Well, regardless
cheating.
of which they ended up choosing, I do like having a farm setting for the.
I don't have any hacks
It's a nice chill
installed.
location to explore. As for the track itself,
I'm
another thing
clean.
that makes it a weird choice is the fact that they didn't really do anything with it. It's barely changed from Mario Kart 8, with the only major addition being this alternate route near the very end, but it doesn't really affect. There's very little
Wait,
wall riding or rail
come
riding
on.
here, so it doesn't
My
feel like it
teammate
justifies
stole
its
everything.
existence. In fact, I honestly think this might be worse than the Mario Kart 8 version. One thing they did change is straightening out the zigzag portion with the cows, and I don't really like this at all. The hills to trick on are a little nice, but I loved the original as it made it harder to dodge the cows and opened up for bigger shortcuts. There are more Moo-Moos total now, but I feel like it's not enough to make this harder than the original. It's not like a massive detriment to the track, but since it is the main noticeable change, I think I do have to say that this is overall worse than its previous incarnation. It's the first track in our bottom left quadrant.
Oh.
I still like playing on the course.
See, that
It just
other guy
doesn't
was
feel like it should have
doing
been
that,
here,
but he
nor does
did
it really do
damage.
anything to fit in the new game. That brings us to probably the game's most controversial retro track, N64 Choco Mountain. Not in the sense that it's the worst, but
I'm
the
so
actual meaning of
cooked,
controversial.
brothers.
It seems pretty split on if people like it or not. So let's see what conclusion I can come to here. The main reason people seem to be split on it is because of the theming update. Yeah, it's still a brown mountain, but now it's like a monster truck arena that's filled with charging trucks. Unlike the Jurassic Park evolution of Dino Jungle, which felt pretty natural, this is a completely different style from what the track was originally going for. In my opinion, though, I do kind of like it. That's mostly because we just got a more standard Choco Mountain remake in the Booster Course Pass. But that brings up another point. Why is this back at all after being in the Booster Course Pass? I think they should have given a different track a chance to shine in either this game or
And I had to at
if
least...
they were going to reuse a track, I am at least happy they took it in a completely new way. I will say though, while it is definitely different, I do get a lot of similar vibes to Wario Stadium while driving. But how the look mixed with all the mechanical parts does make this area feel a slight bit heavy. It doesn't help that it's not nearly as fun to free roam in as Mario Stadium is, though it's not terrible. That's some of my thoughts on the new layout. It's good in some places and kind of weird in others. I think the charging chucks were nice to add a bit more obstacles in the more open parts of the track. There are a few new jumps too.
I have a
which is nice,
hit
though I
that
kinda
does
miss the ladder
no
part from Mario
damage
Kart 8.
while everyone else
There were
has
some alternate routes added
50
with the help of
ender
some road riding
pearls.
and wall riding, but none that were super interesting.
Jump boost
I also don't
7.
love that the turn into the hillside with the boulders is now off.
No fall
They
damage
skipped way too much of the
whatsoever.
track, and I think it was better before this was here. So overall,
And like
I have a lot of
strength
opinions of how
3.
this track in particular was done, but where do I fall in terms of putting it in the chart?
Okay, that one guy did not have
I think this track is the perfect middle, and that's why it's been so
Just
controversial.
hacking.
It's definitely the most mixed bag out of any retro portion game. To end off the
No, he
lightning round, we
didn't.
got Wii's Toad Factory, another one that pretty much everyone was predicting to return. It was a fairly big fan favorite in Wii, and it never gotten a remake before, so it was only fair that it finally got its chance to shine once again. Honestly, I think this is another Airship Fortress situation where the original track was so good that it really didn't need much changing, so it's fairly similar to its Wii counterparts. It did definitely receive more changes than Airship Fortress did, though, as the factory was set up in a way to really support wall riding and rail riding. Several parts throughout the track now have portions in the ceiling, which can be used as a bit of safety from items. There are a lot of alternate paths to find, and while they may not be very helpful in gaining speed, it is nice that they're here as they make the gameplay a bit more interesting. I especially think the metal bars and the ending jump are a lot of fun to ride on top of. I would say this is also a track that definitely excels in exploring. There are so many areas to explore in this factory, and it's once again another totally unique setting to the world. Parkouring across all of the construction of
You are not my friend, you are my foe.
so yeah, this was a bit of a quicker segment, but honestly, it's Toad Factory, what else is there to say? 100% belongs in the top right quadrants. Not quite.
I killed someone and that's all.
I'm still well deserving of the A. Special Cup only has one reference track for us, being SNES Mario. Yeah, I'm sorry, but I really do not like this choice. Only 30 tracks, two of them being Mario circuits, is pretty lame. That it's an SNES Mario Circuit remake. I get that every game with
What the heck?
tracks has had an SNES
Hacks?
circuit beside base 8, but this game is all about breaking
Wait,
tradition.
from where? I know there was a guy, but he was like around a wall.
That makes this the very first Mario Kart to not represent every game at least once in its retro track selection. Now listen, I don't love Super Circuit, but that game has some pretty solid track themes, and Nintendo is usually pretty good at remaking those tracks in particular. I guess we did get a ton of Super Circuit tracks through the Booster Course Pass, but you know what else we got in the Booster Course Pass?
What is my
That
team?
is
How is
especially
my teammate
important to how
get
this
over
track
here?
is laid out. I'll give this track credit for having a good idea, as it's actually a combination track of Mario Circuit 1, 2, and 3. Each lap takes you down.
What?
I think it's a pretty good way of handling Super Mario Kart tracks with the same
Dude,
theme. Now,
how do they
unfortunately,
beat
that
those
is not
things and
every
then just,
SNES
like-
Mario Circuit. For some reason, Nintendo is allergic to remaking SNES Mario Circuit 4. It has not appeared in a game since Super Circuit, and it was only in that game because it had every Super Mario Kart track. If they knew they weren't going to include it here, why not make Mario Circuit 4 the one we got in the Booster Course Pass? Instead, now we have Mario Circuit 3 represented in both, making it the single most remade track in Mario Kart history. Nintendo, I promise you, it's not that good. So yeah, this is one of the worst choices in terms of remakes in this video, as it's a pretty boring theme, and it should have gone to a Super Circuit track so we didn't have two SNES courses. But with that said, they did at least do something cool with it. I do enjoy racing on it enough to where I wouldn't call it a bad track, and I think they should reuse this combination concept for other tracks in the future. This is undeniably better than these tracks on their own, so I can at least say it's an improvement. The only thing I don't like is that they removed the glider from the 7 remake of Mario Circuit 2, but since the track itself is a bit smaller, I guess that kind of makes sense. I also have to say that this is definitely one of the weaker areas to explore in the open world due to it mostly being flat outside of the watchtower. So I doubt anyone would disagree
Yeah, you're
that
dead.
it belongs in the top left quadrant. If nothing else, I guess it has improved. Now normally, that would be where we end things.
Please kill him.
DS Desert Hills is the worst remake of the entire game, in my opinion, by far. It does everything wrong that I've covered throughout this video, which is why I wanted to leave it for last. For starters, the
You can finish it on
this is
his
just
own, I
about the
bet
most
you.
generic desert course you could possibly imagine. Not only is that bad because we have the fantastic desert track in the form of Shy Guy Bazaar, but also because there are so many other desert tracks in the series that should have been here instead. Desert Hills already received a remake in Wii, and in both games it was a part of, it was generally seen as one of the weakest desert tracks in all of Mario Kart. That's saying a lot because desert tracks are often some of the weakest tracks throughout the
I hate this game.
if they were going to add a desert track, a second desert track, there are two pretty good candidates. First is Super
Anytime I
Circuit
play video
Desert,
games,
which
I'm
is
just
the most
gonna, like-
unique desert course, but it would have at least given some Super Circuit.
Not act freaky.
It's not like Desert Hills is much more unique. The other option is Wii Dry Dry Ruin, which is what I was predicting they'd do. Not only is it probably the best prestige desert track, but it's easily the one that would work with this game's brand new mechanics the best. That brings us to another flaw with Desert Hills. It's not improved. Due to this track being such open desert, there's pretty much no chance for any wall riding or rail grinding whatsoever. The most you get in terms of new mechanics is a tiny bit of water near the finish line.
Wow, how amazing and interesting too.
That's not to say the track hasn't been changed, though. In fact, it's worse. The most obvious edition of the Super Mario. Yes, I do love the callback since I love these enemies in that game, but as obstacles, these guys don't work nearly as well as the pokies or fire snakes they replace. I 100% think
Dude, I couldn't move. I know it's in lava, but like,
hills so it can keep some of its difficulty. As it is, though, these enemies are way too
all of
easy.
my movement just
On top
went.
of that, this is another Sunset Wild
I'm lagging,
situation where this track went against what it's named after. The most memorable part of the track for me has always been the hard hilly turns at the very end. Even if this was a pretty mid track, it was kind of cool how vertical these turns were. Want to see them in Mario Kart
Dude,
World?
can you kill the guy instead of just bowing?
I was far from wild and free, I wanted to be my sweet love. I was dreaming of
Find a Valentine's gift fast. I just don't know what to do. So I went to 1-800-flowers.com. Right, they took out the signature hills of Desert Hills. So now this track is even so hardcore. And let me remind you, the world version isn't getting fire snakes rain onto the track like the others, so it remains mostly empty the entire race. It also doesn't help that visually the track
Oh my
is still
God.
more lit to me. At least the original felt a bit brighter and had cool set pieces like the pyramid and the altar. Now that's just gone and replaced with a boring rock slab. Oh, and you know that water I mentioned earlier? Well, funnily enough, this track actually has less of it in the DS and Wii version, which just minimizes the amount of Mario Kart World mechanics shown off here. There were some decent changes like adding
Can you just let us roll it up before you kill me?
The track has been butchered so badly, it's really
Stop with that.
The world was fairly plain. Like, it's not terrible, but it doesn't feel like a highlight of the world like every track shows. So I am more than confident to say
I don't
that DS Desert Hills easily belongs at the bottom left corner of the charts.
I almost killed them, they just run away and got.
That's about what I have to say in terms of Mario Kart World's
They're about to kill me, I run away, try and get them, but oh, would you look at that?
They're just worse than previous versions. But that's getting less retro tracks than we normally do. I was hoping that we get a higher quality, but I don't think that's really the case here. The remakes in the base game of quarter of the chart.
Kill him. He's lagging, I bet you he's gonna.
This track simply did everything. That's about what I have to say in terms of Mario Kart World's retro selection. Obviously there were some hits, but about half the tracks were either really strange choices or just worse than previous versions. With us getting less retro tracks than we normally do, I was hoping that we get a higher quality, but I don't think that's really the case here. The remakes in the base game of 8 were much more consistent.
He's on fire, I think.
Both choice-wise and improvement-wise. The only track I would maybe say is worse than its original is Toad's Turnpike. Everything else is a fairly solid improvement. Granted, World did also have to worry about implementing these into free roam, and I think most of these are pretty solid there. As racetracks, though, I think many of these could have used some more work or should have been more interesting choices instead. At the very least, though, when this game does hit, it hits. So while this retro selection is a bit weird in places, I do appreciate all the strong tracks and the solid improvements that it gave us. I can't wait to play all of these tracks in their full 3-lap glory online. But anyways, that's it for this video. Are you...
As long as I have a good teammate, then I think I can win like 30 times in that time. Just kidding. Just kidding, guys.
I don't know if you guys have heard of this website before, but it's called Series Group. And basically,
I'm lagging.
It's a website where essentially you can go ahead and it will essentially just show you
what's going on.
Rated episode of your favorite TV shows. For instance, my favorite show is. And pull that up and show you that it is the most go to show of all time. Today, we're not going to be